Hey guys, Terrence here with Paul, and we are on a field trip.
What's up, guys? Let's talk reef on the road.
Absolutely. It's been a long time since I've been to a local fish store, and I mean a long time, Paul.
You get the itch.
I had the itch to go to a store, so I gave them a lot of heads up this time. I told them we're going to be heading out, you know, sometime today. I told them that. And
hours ago.
So I decided that to bring you guys along and you know, have us come to the fish store, look at some stuff, talk about some stuff that you know, happened in 2020, talk about some products from 2020, look at some cool fish, find out what we want to take home with us, what we want to spend some Christmas on. By the way, we're actually coming up. We're going through San Jose right now. We're heading to Neptune Aquatics, and on the way, like the best barbecue place in San Jose, and I know all you guys in Texas and everything are just going to be like, yeah, right, California barbecue.
This is a South Carolina barbecue.
This is an amazing place.
Right here, Smoking Pig Barbecue.
It's called Smoking Pig.
It is exceptional. Any trip to Neptune Aquatics will likely include a stop at the Smoking Pig.
Absolutely.
You know.
So definitely check it out if you happen to be in San Jose. Anyway,
right here.
Neptune Aquatics is here in the heart of San Jose. They started out really small. You guys have been with me. Some of you have come on the trip before.
Right.
But a lot of people haven't, Paul.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, no, you can turn here. It's fine.
Can I? You sure?
I get all confused. It all looks the same, you know?
Yeah. So a lot of, you know, local fish stores, aquarium stores, you know, some of them have retail places, but some of the really, really nice ones are actually in industrial parks.
Yep.
The rent is cheaper, the space is bigger, they're able to do so much more with it.
They have basically a blank palette, if you will, right?
Yep.
The slate is clean, so it's how they think the store should come to get best together.
Right, high ceilings, everything.
Yep.
So here we are, we're rolling up, and park right over here. Let's see what we can get into, guys. Let's see what we're gonna do.
All right.
So bear with us while we bail out of the car. The car's a little small for Paul up front here.
Yeah, yeah. It's not the best for the... Let me take that from you, sir.
Vincent's got all his gear here.
Oh, wow, this looks cool. This is what the control panel looks like?
That's Vincent. Vincent's running the show again.
Hey.
Looks like we got somebody pulling up to get some water.
This is a common sight you'll see at most fish stores, but it's done probably most efficiently here at Neptune Aquatics. You know, and it's a great model. You know, if you don't have your own RO system, you know, it's a great solution. He basically has a salt water and a RO water gun, if you will, ready to go.
Just fill her up. Here, let me see how it works.
Considering that, you know.
Check this out.
Forklift, you know, which store doesn't have a forklift?
No doubt. Anyway, so the first place to go to when you're at Neptune Aquatics, okay, and I know it sounds strange because we're from Neptune Systems.
Not affiliated.
It's not affiliated.
Good friends.
Happen completely separately, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But the first thing you want to do when you come here is you want to go to the showroom.
Yes.
The showroom is like none other you've ever seen. And for those of you who've been there before with me, it changes all the time, so hopefully you'll see something new. Keep going, Paul. Lead us on, man.
I can't help it.
So, I was at their grand opening too, by the way. I don't know if I signed that or not. Did I sign that? I don't know if I did.
Let's see you.
Anyway, this is the showroom, and this is everything that's possible for an aquarist. That's what Robert and Sarissa are the owners of Neptune Aquatics. That's what they like to show off, and they do an amazing job in here.
Yeah.
This tank's been here forever.
So this tank was at their first store. You went to their first store when it was in Milpitas?
Yeah.
And you know, I've seen this tank just for years and years and years, and you know, every so many years it gets a rehash, right?
It's cut it back recently for sure.
You know, and so it recently probably got cut back in the last, I don't know, 4 to 6 months. Is that right about right, Vincent?
I think so.
Yeah. So it gets completely overgrown, and then he, you know, it takes a couple years to get the corals all nice and big with the lighting that he uses.
I see some of my corals in here, but what I don't see in here, Vincent, is Red Dragon. This is the Red Dragon tank.
No, it's still here.
Is that it?
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
weird morphology in this tank then. Are you sure that looks like...
It's the red dragon,
I don't know, it's pretty thick. Well, anyway, lots of cool corals in here. You know, I think that this has always been, you know, a little bit of a mixed reef, which is hard to do.
Yes.
Super
Mixed reefs are definitely the most difficult to do. It's obviously controlled by an apex, right? So he's got a trident going on there. He has dosing on there. He has the auto top off going on here. The energy bar 832 has all the.
Got one hydrant back there for automatic water change.
Yep. So
there's a question here. What lights are those?
Oh, good question. These are the new Kessel 360s that he has on this tank. He actually has the AP9X on this tank that he hasn't started up. There used to be a different tank here. He decided to put another bigger tank here and change it up.
These 9Xs are cool too. You know, I like how they can pivot here like this. But the coolest part about these,
control.
They will be controlled through an apex here very shortly.
We thought it was going to be done.
We've been talking about it for a while.
Yes.
Okay, I feel like we keep on like, oh, it's coming, like sort of, but IOTA is being implemented by several, namesakes in the industry.
Correct.
Kessel is one of those, and they are bringing the 9X and the 360Xs with the Wi-Fi dongle on board in IOTA control, so they can be controlled over Wi-Fi.
I know we're testing it in the office right now. I think we're just about ready to release it to some NSI people.
I think it's like either, we should know this, but it may already be in some NSI members' hands. I'm not sure. It's literally right on the cusp.
But anyway, it'll definitely be a really cool way for Robert to control, a bunch of these if he wants to do it within the Apex interface.
Yeah, and one cool thing I like about this tank too, he uses the substrate, the calcium reactor substrate, which is kind of what convinced me to use that as well when I did my tank. And mine's been up now for about three and a half years. And it just does a great job of providing so much surface area to the tank.
I love the price. Did you get a shot of the price?
Yeah. So how much does this cost?
So
any store owner knows that.
Every store owner knows. Like the people come in and go, oh man, this is beautiful. I want to buy this. How much does this cost? And so they just look and they go, oh, okay, I get it. Definitely. So this is a really cool thing.
So let's talk about the lights for a little bit.
Okay.
So how many skies do you think he's going to need once he puts those on?
So I know Robert loves his Kessels. I know he's run Kessels over this for a long time. I know it's going to be a tough thing to convince him. But I do believe that in this tank, with the depth and with running some of the SPS, that he's probably going to get a little bit better growth out of the SPS in this tank than he's doing with the Kessels.
Coverage-wise, for sure.
No doubt. You won't have as much shadowing in the tank. And it's no slight to the Kessels. They're doing a great job in here.
Yes.
I just think that you get a much more even amount of light, and you'll have a little bit more luck with the SPS in this tank. And, we'll maybe just need to route out like a little thing up here.
Probably 3, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe 2. Probably 3.
I think it's 3. I think it's 3 running a transverse this way, running 1, 2, 3 like that on the tank, and it'll just be bathed with light. I think it'll be awesome.
Anyways, this is the crowning. This is the jewel of Neptune Aquatics in terms of a livestock tank, in terms of the variety available. You get some great looking fish in here sometimes.
How many gallons is this?
425.
245.
245, sorry.
Yeah, it's got like a 200-gallon refrigerant. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We got a couple of medium-sized. What's that noise? A couple of medium-sized tanks over here. One thing that says "Do not touch."
Oh yeah.
Looks like an MP10.
Yeah, they're all working in tandem together. So it's like this. You can't really probably hear it on the stream too well, but it's really intense screeching.
No, it's like
look at that Indata.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, you got 2 Indata.
That one over there is nice. What one is that, Vincent? Vincent knows all his corals. What is that? I don't know, man.
I think that's an Indata too.
It's an Indata.
Like Midas Touch or something like that?
Who cares what it's called? It's a cool looking microphone.
Yeah, I know. Very cool. Another beautiful tank. He's got so many of them.
Oh,
see, that's a little red Ferrari, isn't it?
That's red Ferrari.
Look how the
that's what I said. He doesn't have the.
Look how the Monty is growing just right onto the media down there.
Yeah, absolutely.
He just got sprags, just ready to go.
Just ready to go for the right price, of course.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got a really beautiful hammer tank here. This is just hammer corals. How cool is that?
Mm-hmm.
People drool over those hammers. This is the anemone tank, though.
Straight up anemones. Only anemones, clownfish as well.
The carpet is amazing on this. I know that, I don't know if the color's coming through, but that's a red carpet anemone. It is red, right? I'm colorblind.
Yes,
right?
that is a red carpet anemone. Very good, Terrence.
And just a bunch of really cool bubble tips in here. And in my opinion, not enough clownfish.
Yeah, I think he's had more clownfish over time, over the years.
I would like take like one of the tanks we're gonna see later that's got like 50 of those small clownfish, and just chuck them all in here.
The little fish get big, okay, and then a lot of fish create a lot of other issues. This is a kind of his. This is what an SPS tank will look for.
It's a Red Sea Max,
yep.
Right? A little bit older tank, I think, older style design.
Yeah, it's got the A360Xs on there. Mostly SPS only in this tank. Obviously, there's some LPS at the bottom.
They are growing weird, though, aren't they?
Look at this acro.
Just some weird morphology.
It's just like going everywhere. I mean, it's right up at the top, right in some flow.
I don't know. I don't understand what's doing it, but there's definitely some weird growing acros in this tank. So
there's a Walt Disney, I think, right there.
Yeah, that one looks like it's put in there fairly recently. But
yeah.
Look at the green slimer. I mean, that's just all over the place.
Weird. Yeah.
Weird. Definitely strange.
All right. I love this tank.
Yeah,
this tank just pops. You know, soft LPS tank.
Some really cool hammers and stuff in there. The Goniophora rock with just a bunch of Goniophora on it. Alveophora too, right? This is an Alveophora, I think.
You are correct.
Look at that.
Elegance.
Hey, Paul, someone's asking about the reborn media you use for sand bed.
Yeah.
Because it must be a nightmare to clean.
It really isn't, you know. So when I first started the tank, I had to do, I siphoned it religiously, right? You know, I was gravel siphoning. I had to do one half, then the other half, and things like that. But now I can't even get my hand to the bottom of the tank. There's so much growth in there, especially since I put the sky over it, and it's just been kind of just going everywhere. And so I haven't gravel siphoned that tank for almost 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I did have an issue during COVID, right, or at the beginning of COVID, I should say. We're still like, you know, I still like to think about, you know, the summer, right, when everyone was like, you know, kind of relaxing a little bit. But anyways, I digress. And so in the beginning of COVID, when none of us were in the office, when we weren't doing that kind of thing, my tank got neglected a little bit. And that's when I think a little bit of those issues started. But since I do that 20% water change or 25% water change every week, I'm not having a lot of issues with nutrients anymore or anything like that. If anything, I
just think you just stick your hand down in a third of the tank, you know, every time you're doing a water change, and just do like this a little bit.
I do the wave blow off thing every now and then too, just to kind of.
That's a good tip too. Is like the wave is so awesome because it shuts off. I'm sorry to plug our products a little bit here.
But I tend to do that.
I tend to, but I have mine on the wall. I take it off. I can set it on top of my tank. It stops spinning because it's out of the water. Then a lot of times to get more flow, as long as I'm careful, I take the guard off of it and run just the prop and like blow everything off all of my rocks.
That's great.
And it's got to be like massive. It's got to be like 5,000 gallons per hour without that guard on the front of it.
Then we kind of start to the freshwater.
Well, this is interesting. This is actually a green star. It's nuts.
That's really good on there.
Yeah, it does look. It's coming through really good in the pictures. I'm pretty impressed. This is the Mevo camera that I used during Black Friday time. So we're trying it out here. And this is the one I don't understand. This tank. This looks like something I'm gonna put. You know, I don't know, like a mealworm on a hook and start fishing it. That's what it looks like to me.
Can't take you anywhere.
It's not my gig.
You got no.
I just do not get that at all.
These are the Terraform tanks. I always like these a lot.
These are definitely cool. Now, I really like what's happening with some of the freshwater stuff. I've seen a lot of it over in Asia and over the years, last few years. They're doing some really cool things with the driftwood and really scaping it and all of that. But what's really cool in this one, I don't know if you saw it, but there's a beta in there. And I always heard that you can't put betas in with any other fish.
And he's in there, and I don't see where
he's hiding
went.
right now.
Yeah, he's hiding.
I did see him earlier.
Your moment for shining.
Yeah, he's gone. But there is a beta in there, and I guess you can have betas with other fish. But what do I know about freshwater? Nothing.
You know, they take a lot of maintenance. A lot of just in terms of once they start growing, you've got to do a lot of pruning to make sure they continue.
Absolutely why I don't have one of these either is because I used to mow my lawn. I don't want to mow my living room.
Exactly.
Right? I have somebody that mows my lawn now, and I don't want to do that for my hobby. It's bad enough I got to prune a lot of corals.
Then Sarissa, the owner, is also really into really cool plants.
Yeah, some really.
So she posts all the time
on Facebook all the
really
time.
interesting plants. And These are kind of like frags for plants.
Really?
If you will. I mean,
they're beautiful and everything,
But no, I mean, there's like the super cool ones, apparently, right? So
Okay.
you have your run-of-the-mill, right? You know, this is probably the equivalent of, you know, your
My mom
clove
calls them
polyps,
pothos.
right? These are your clove polyps, $30. You know, nice and easy. But then there's this one here.
It says don't touch, Paul.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. So there's this one here that's 290
$290
because it's got the pink. It's got the pink leaf.
So is this something that I would put in my planted tank, like
No.
like the one we have on the left? Like no, but I mean, look at the one
But
we
it's
have on the left.
I mean, it is a beautiful plant. You know, absolutely.
So this plant, this tank that we have on the left is like a hybrid with, you know, with like a really dark aquascape. What do they call that? The tint that they do?
It's
got the tannins,
Yeah.
right? And but you know, I really love how they've integrated the plants on the outside. Like we've got the bamboo and these other plants up here on the outside, and stuff is just growing up out of the tank as well as in the tank. And then the fish, I mean, are amazing.
The discus and the angelfish in this tank are.
This is the freshwater tank I would have. It's big enough to make a statement, so I don't feel like I've got like a guppy tank, right?
You know, and the shimmer in here. I usually don't like a lot of shimmer. Like I like a little bit of shimmer, but I don't like a lot of shimmer. But for some reason, the shimmer in here really works for me.
Yeah,
you know,
I
I
agree.
think it's probably because it's dimmer, right? And so it feels more subtle as a result.
I
of
agree
that.
with you. And the fish that they got, the choice of fish that they have with these discus.
They call it Blackwater.
Blackwater?
That's
okay.
right. Blackwater. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank
For those of you that are doing this out there.
Yeah.
There's also an angelfish in here that I really love. It's got this sparkly, really super. That's not it. That's not it. Super sparkly
Back
sides. Is in the back.
Yeah, he's coming forward.
And when the light hits it, it's got like
Oh, that's
rainbow on the scales. And it looks really cool.
Yeah.
What the
Don't
heck
think
is
we're
that
gonna
fish?
see him.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna see that fish or not. Oh, well.
But the aesthetics of this tank are very nice too. I also really like what Robert did with the lights up top.
Yeah, they're all recessed.
Yeah.
It's just this is a tank to have in your house for sure.
Anyways, we always spend a lot of time. I think I always stop and look at this tank for a while.
Yeah.
You know, I just really enjoy it.
Yeah, I can have this in my house. No doubt.
Definitely. All right, so
That's the showroom.
that's the showroom.
Okay, so are we going first or is Vincent? Okay, we'll go
We'll
first.
go
Oh,
first.
that's right.
Yeah.
We're
Remember how we
we
did
talked
this?
about this ahead of time. I forgot. We're trying to play all Hollywood here, you know.
Right. So you
oh
can't
look, they've got the toast poster right there.
easy dose it. So you can't have a fish store without glass, and you know I might be in the market right now for a new aquarium soon. It's filling up
You think so?
really quickly. I don't know. Maybe put another tank in the office.
You think so?
Not putting one at home.
No?
No. But you know, one thing I like about Robert's store is he gives a lot of options in terms of glass,
Yeah.
and a lot of examples on what you can do, and it's right there.
See, he
You know,
always has tons
it's
of
not
inventory.
it's not something I have to look in catalogs or something like that for.
Yeah, he always has tons of inventory. Oh yeah. All right.
How's
So
the night?
what's that?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I was
So
gonna go on something.
anyway, so a lot of people also like to get nanos for different reasons, and you never get to see really nice nanos in a lot of the stores. And what Robert has done is created these different biotopes with nanos of things that just make, I mean, frankly, it just makes people want to buy one, but it also just shows you what is possible in a nano that you wouldn't even think is possible. You know, in what is this? 8 gallons, 10 gallons, something like that.
Yeah,
Is that about right?
they're the Picos.
Yeah.
They're the 10 gallon. They're the 10 gallon.
10 gallon Pico.
10 gallon Nubos. Yeah.
And I mean, it's just there's nothing to them, and he just keeps awesome corals in here. And you know, not that difficult. A lot of water changes, I'm sure. And
I think if I recall correctly, he does like a 3 gallon water change on these like every couple days. You know, he's constantly putting new water in.
There you go.
You know?
So if you had one of these, you get the apex with a dose on it, and just let it just continually water change. Probably gonna have an awesome
he also
thing.
has what you call lots of manual labor available.
Yes, I know.
Right, so you know.
Well, that's why I was saying that, because not everybody can do that. This was Sarissa's tank, you know, one of the owners, and
They recently changed it up, but
they
it's
changed
still,
it up. It's coming back into itself. It used to be Epic, but they got a bigger tank for it, I think, and so now it's coming back. She usually has the most expensive corals in the entire store in this tank. Isn't that right, guys?
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. All right, so here we are. It's now after Christmas. We're coming here. We haven't been to a local fish store in a while. Let's talk about some of the stuff that happened this year. Talk about some of the
gear,
the
you know,
See some stuff that we might be thinking about getting ourselves, and just kind of talk to people about what's going to happen in 2020. Okay? We good, Vincent?
Yep.
All right. So at Neptune Aquatics, they keep all the livestock down low, and they keep all the gear, for the most part, up on top.
Right.
Right. At eye level, if you're like Paul. But all right. So here's all the testing stuff. One of the first things I wanted to mention to you guys, it's not necessarily a new product in 2020. I don't have one of these yet, but I think it's one of the coolest things. Are these smart stir things for your testing? Because I don't know about you, but every time I'm testing and a thing like this, and I don't have 3 hands, just a really cool product. And what do they go for? It's $30.
$30.
Here.
It's a great investment because, I mean, you spend so much time. Do this for 20, 30 seconds. You basically can just turn this on, set a timer, and kind of go from there with it.
Especially with those API, those API ones that they have.
Right.
Those things, they've got the thick stuff in there, and they're like, turn it over, for 3 minutes or whatever.
It definitely helps making sure, because a lot of times with the titration test kits, it's the process is a very big part
it's super important.
and so when they say to shake for 30 seconds, there's absolutely a reason.
Yeah, they don't mean a minute 30, and
Yeah.
they don't mean 10 seconds.
Exactly.
For sure. All right, next thing, this did come out this year, Paul. So everybody knows about the Hannah checkers, right?
Right.
So, the Hannah checkers are awesome. I'm colorblind. I've used them for years for alkalinity. I've used the ultra low range one for phosphate for a long time. But this year they came out with the nitrate one. You notice the box is much bigger, say the alkalinity box. Okay? And this was much anticipated, but I
was excited about it.
I was too.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I think this is one of the flops of the year, if we're all being honest. Okay?
I mean,
No.
look, if you really need to know what your nitrates are under 5...
I'm not saying it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't work.
Right.
What I'm saying is that the amount of process that you have to go through to do this, if you watch the video,
Right.
it's not going to be what most people are expecting after having used the alkalinity one, where you put, a syringe of stuff in and get a number.
Well, I mean, so the alkalinity one, I mean, that's like the bellwether, if you will, for like an easy kit that gives you really reliable, precise results, right? Because the instructions are really easy to follow, right? And you don't need things like you need with like the calcium test kit, the DI water. You don't need things like that.
Oh yeah, and the phosphate's a little bit more difficult because it uses powder, right, for the phosphate one.
But it's still not that bad either. It's maybe 5-10 minute time, the time frame in terms of what you're doing in there.
Right.
But the nitrate test kit just, I don't know how many steps it has. I watched the video.
It's a ton of stuff.
If you haven't watched the video, it's one of those. It's one of those things you can really start to appreciate science coming to the reef hobby, but not understanding that it is a hobby.
Yeah, it's way above what most people are going to be able to do. The calcium one has had a lot of issues too. I know we talked about precision and different things. I mean, I have both of these kits.
Terence,
by the way,
I have the conversation about precision literally 2 or 3 times a week.
Right.
With a customer.
So if you check with the calcium one and try to, for instance, you're checking against, let's say, the Trident, there's a lot of variance in how these kits work because of a dilution that has to happen. And if the dilution is not, your results can be PPT, right?
Yeah. One thing I always recommend for customers that are really concerned, they are concerned about accuracy, precision, and all these different things, is with the Trident, right, you get the Trident calibration solution. You're going to calibrate when you change out those reagents. You have a little extra. If you do want to check the precision and accuracy and things like that, you can absolutely do that with
any test.
With
so
any
you can
test
pick up a Red Sea test. You can
right?
pick up
And
it's
a great way to compare and understand that when we do the Trident calibration solution, we put a lot of effort to make sure that those numbers are 100% accurate,
to get a standard,
valid, all of those things. I think we do multiple variations of ICP tests. We do multiple lab-based
send it out for
titrations.
stuff. We get to get those numbers to be right.
So
anyways,
a lot of work put into it, and so the numbers on the outside of that bottle are pretty spot on.
This is another kind of solution that everybody should have, something like this. There's a few of them that are made. There's one that's made by Brightwell makes one. You can get a big bottle of the Brightwell one. This is a calibration solution for your salinity. So, often people talk about the Neptune Salinity Pro. We don't need to, we've beaten that horse to death, but
talk about it again.
If you really want to if you really want to know what you're checking something against, you have to have a reference solution. And so having, a known reference solution, making sure it's not like 3 years old, or you've not left it open for a day and then close it back up.
Well, Terrence, I think the most important thing to know there is a reference solution for refractometer is not your RO water, right? You don't just calibrate the 0 level, because that's not the level you're actually checking.
Right.
The level you're checking is in between 30 and 40 ppt, right? So your reference solution needs to be about that as well.
Absolutely.
So when you're using the 0 point to calibrate to, it's just you're never going to have that accurate of a calibration of a refractometer.
Yeah, I mean,
there's
somebody. I mean, you could theoretically make your own too. Once you absolutely know what your tank is, you want to bottle off your own.
I know some people that do that.
Yep.
You know, they live up in the North Bay area.
So this is a good product for you here, Paul.
Kick It.
Kick It.
Kick It.
So
have you ever used that stuff?
I've never used it.
You've never? Look, in my early days of reefing, I used the Kick It.
I don't want to make fun of it, but there's a big thing about ick and in situ kind of treatments for ick and whether or not it works.
And does it have side effects in the aquarium?
Well, that too.
Right?
Many of these things are that way.
With like red slime remover and all of these different, I want to call them quick fixes, bacterials, things that sound too good to be true, usually are too good to be true. So this idea that's just going to magically remove all of the ick in your tank,
I don't know. I don't want to slam it too hard, but I know
so it does get you out of a bind really quickly, right? So if your fish are really struggling.
Well, it might deal with one stage of the ick, and therefore it's not going to kick it completely.
I would say, it's a good investment while you're maybe getting a quarantine tank set up. It's just to basically kind of prolong things a little bit, keep things healthy. But
the best way to kick ick is to feed your fish well, treat them well,
keep your fish
have a stable environment.
Keep your fish healthy, right? And keep the tank. The biggest
it.
thing is actually, Terrence, keeping the temperature stable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keeping the temperature stable is one of the best things you can do in terms of making sure you save your fish.
Awesome stuff. We're gonna have some fun here.
We'll talk about the livestock in a little bit. Don't worry, because there's a lot of eye candy here.
For sure.
I got it.
Vincent is a mobile production crew here.
He is just
all by
knocking it
himself.
out of the park, isn't he?
No doubt.
Ooh, here's a good one.
Absolutely. Pull it
Here's
down.
a good one. Oh, I'm so excited about this.
We talked about the Kessel lights.
Yep.
This is a Seche DC pump. It's a Syncra STC pump.
It's a Wi-Fi pump.
Correct.
Right. So, and it's been out for a little while.
Yeah, it connects into your home network and allows you to control it from your phone. Allows you to control it with their little control module as well. But just like the Kessel, through IOTA, they are finishing up, and we have them, and we're testing them right now in our office, the connection to the Apex. So you can have a return pump outside of the core pump that is controllable by the Apex, which is the Syncra STC.
And those will get fairly big. Those pumps, they do have a lot of gallons per hour, liters per hour is how most of them are reported.
Yeah,
and then the other part of that too is, I believe that. Where's it going to go with that? The warranty on those pumps are really
Well, they have a
nice.
serious.
It's like a 5-year warranty or something like that.
Yeah, 5-year warranty. I don't know how they do it, but anyway, I thought it would have been done by already this year, but
these things take time.
Sometimes you run into little.
We
got to test it.
People thought the Trident was going to come out a lot earlier than we thought it was going to come out a lot earlier than it was.
And talking about controlled pumps. Still, these are not controllable. We get asked that all the time.
Yeah, I still get those questions, people
even with a WXM, which no longer exists, they're not controllable. However, the Octo pumps next to it.
Apex ready pumps.
Apex ready for the various pumps, whether you're using them on a
cable,
skimmer.
a cable and an Apex.
Right.
Apex L is not going to get the job done, but a full-on Apex or Apex or a VDM module will get the job done.
For sure. All right, let's walk down.
Some utility pumps there. Supposed to stay forward here, Terrence.
Yeah,
I don't
I
want
think
to see
even
your
this
back.
Octo pump here, I think, has a variable speed on it that works with the
Apex. It does. I don't know if we've never
qualified it.
I don't think it had Apex ready, but I think it is. So, Apex ready means we brought it into our facilities. They were sent. We fully tested them. We checked them, in all ways, left and right, and made sure it was going to be a good customer experience. That doesn't mean that this pump isn't a good customer.
Right. So the companies, the manufacturers themselves have to submit it for that, and we look for things like the ergonomics of how the connection works, that it's plug and play simple for the customer.
Yeah.
That, for instance, it's at zero, and that at 100%, it really is at 100%. and we check all of that stuff out so that the customer knows what they're going to get the experience.
Yeah.
Another one right here. This is other news for 2020.
Yeah.
Not happy for sure for a lot of people, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I was a little bummed, but
yeah.
you know.
So a little history. We've been controlling with the Apex, the Vortec pumps, not since their inception, too long after that.
One thing Kurt was really proud of is he was the first to be able to do that.
What?
Okay.
Okay.
So
I don't know where we left off, but anyway, so I was giving you some history of the Vortec pump and control with the Apex. So the WXM was created, I don't know, maybe 18 months after the Apex.
yeah,
About that.
it was one of the first kind of
probably 2010-ish.
Yeah, it was it was after like the PM1, the PM2 module, Energy Bar 4.
So the Vortec pumps used a Zigbee type radio in there, and the WXM talked to them and allowed you to control them. This year, they have basically moved over with Ecotech to moving full into their control platform of Mobius, and have taken away the Zigbee side of the equation software-wise, right?
Software. So basically, the firmware.
The hardware's still in there.
The hardware's still in there, but the firmware that that Mobius supports cannot possibly support Zigbee apparently, right? And so they took that stuff out, and so then when you bought this pump, you then had to do this rollback of firmware, right? And that was a little bit.
And you have to be locked in there forever in order to still control it.
Yeah. And so at the end of the day, we just were like, this isn't a this isn't a good customer experience. Not to say that we're not open to things in the future.
No,
but,
and the G5 stopped being supported as well.
Right.
It's a pretty cool pump too. I think this is kind of. I like seeing innovation. This is
some
the
people
AI
called that the product of the year.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great. I like seeing innovation, and the approach to using the outside, bell stator or whatever you would call it on this pump is really cool. Unfortunately, it's not Apex compatible either.
Bluetooth only, yeah.
It's Bluetooth only, but it is definitely a cool little pump. So,
and we've controlled AI products in the past. Part of the challenge of this stuff too is that, we kind of decided a protocol that we're going to basically use to communicate, with different devices outside our group, and
Internet of Things,
and we haven't changed that.
Right.
We had AI Lite support, then we had AI Lite support again, and the protocols just kept on getting changed, and so at this point, right, it's IOTA if you want to work in the Apex Cloud, or a 0 to 10 volt.
Yeah, I mean, it's not completely unfeasible if there's a giant, light that they want us to control it and open up the, the access to it, and it's something that's selling in, the tens of thousands, that we wouldn't take a look at that. But since we already have the ability to control, most that really care about doing it are looking at it out of the gate, like CJ. We're really excited to get on board with it.
So
anyway,
around here?
Yeah, we're gonna spin around.
Okay.
We're gonna go this way.
We're gonna do a little
U-turn there.
Yep. Okay. We're just gonna casually show a lot of gray and orange
all the
here.
massive amounts of orange and gray that we have here.
Yep. So Neptune Systems. Oh, look. WXM module. Robert still has some, so if you are looking for a WXM module,
stocked up. He's got like 6 or 7, and I've ordered. So
he will definitely take a phone order. No, he won't.
No?
They don't. Facebook, I would imagine, if you wanted to arrange the purchase of that. And I know I've gotten a couple emails about that, people looking for that module. So now I have a solution in terms of where to direct them. That's awesome.
So one of the things too for you guys is, if you like this store and you like the fact that they're stocking products, definitely tell your local fish stores that you want to see stock products, right? You want to be able to come into a store and buy something. That's what Robert does with having, all of our equipment here that you see.
And the nice thing about our product, it's all map price, right? So you know that it's not going to be a different price someplace else.
Guess what this is?
6-month reagent kit.
The elusive.
I thought we weren't making
6-month reagent kit that doesn't exist, right?
Right.
So
the new unicorn, as they call it.
So Robert stocked up. He does have them here. If you are in the Bay Area and you want a 6-month kit, he does have them available.
And you'll notice that we got the Apex, the Apex L's. The Apexes he sells through far, most quickly, so that's why he's probably only down to 1 there. But carries the full line.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Very cool. All right.
That's an AOB model.
I know. I saw it here.
He's so funny.
He's got stuff, I know.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get some livestock.
We got some more stuff to do. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to show my back. he does everything. Everything's done really well.
Yeah.
You know.
Certain. There's all those clowns I was telling you about. Just throw all of those into the anemone tank.
Those clowns are
Scoop
big.
them all up.
And then the other, put the in the
Scoop
big
all of
clowns.
those and all of those and get like 70 clowns in that. And they all be inside that carpet anemone, looking so chill.
And you're not thinking about,
Make that
you know,
cool
you're not
internet
thinking,
video with it.
You're not thinking 1 year from now, you know?
Well, so you can sell them to somebody. In the meantime, it's cool. I mean, that was the DRS Aaron tank. Was so cool. All right. So, people always ask Paul, like, okay, Terence, how do you get your corals to grow, etc.? What are you using? And a lot of people, right, talk about coral foods, and I've tried a lot of coral foods.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they work or they don't work. But I'm not slighting them. They probably do work, but for me, it's such a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I mean,
And people give me stuff all the time, right?
The tank is 425 gallons, right? So it takes a lot of food to feed it, and so it needs to be simple. So
it's just mixing it up and all the mixing and all of that I have to do. I mean, I literally take my food and I just frozen chuck it into the tank.
I know you do. I've seen
Okay.
it happen. This guy feeds in a very interesting way, I'll tell you.
But anyway, so there are really cool coral foods. How about you, Paul, in your tank? Do you use any coral foods?
I do. I use, right now I'm using Benepets,
Right.
which I do like. It's a nice...
I think it's one of the better ones, for sure.
It's a nice, I've used the Reef Roids before. Of course, I've used Reef Frenzy. I used that for years.
Yeah, Reef Chili.
I just
DRS, look at that.
Obviously, used the Reef Chili.
Like back in the day.
You know, I don't know.
This stuff, by the way, as far as if you believe that creating a feeding response is important in your corals, this stuff works. It does it. I don't use it religiously, again, because I'm kind of lazy. But when I did try this out and they gave me some to try, I was amazed at how, as soon as I put this in the tank, the polyps on the corals just went bloop.
Yeah. These are really cool too. You know, I think this is what they use for the Reef Chili.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So basically you take this filtered food up, right? Kind of get it nice and stirred up, and then you can squirt it just right back into your tank, so it's nice and suspended.
See, for me, I'm lazy. It's going to get dirty. I'm going to have to clean it.
Well, that's why they're
I'm just lazy. I'm lazy.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. Okay.
Who's the feeding food?
Aquapower,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah. So this stuff, I've got an IV running on this in my tank.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely, yeah.
you know, I'm not an additives person. I don't put a lot of different weird potions and stuff into the tank. But since the beginning of time, I started using amino acids with the Salifert stuff way back in 2009. And I know that there was an absolute response from the corals that was the coloration and whatnot. And so with Aquapower, I've switched to Aquapower. I actually buy it by the gallon. I hook it up to my dose.
I need like what, 250 milliliters? I've been bugging you to bring more in. I've been out for like
I
a
buy it
couple
by the
months.
gallon. I have it hooked up on an IV from a dose, and I think I dose 30 mils a day of that stuff into my tank.
I know.
So,
I dose like 2.5. You can't spare it. You can't spare it.
Yeah, I guess. Now here's an interesting one too. I know that it's not, pellet food has come out of popularity.
Yeah.
No, it has.
It has,
It
I
has
guess.
come out, and people think that it's somewhat substandard. I have used pellet food forever. Some of my best coral friends, you know, who grow amazing coral, use a lot of pellet food,
Yeah.
you know, to feed their fish. I'm a big proponent of the coral food. Is the fecal matter and the urine coming out of the fish is the best coral food in my tank.
Nice and fresh.
Yeah, it's good and fresh. And so I use a lot of pellets. I use the biggest ones, these are too small. I use the large pellets in my tank. I've got those fish that you love.
The Hiniocus.
The giant, they're about the size of those discus over there. Giant guys. And if I put my frozen food in there, nobody else is getting any. So what I do,
dude. Those guys.
I take these, I got the, 3 millimeter or 4 millimeter pellets.
You get it? Now I know what you're going to talk about.
And I gut load those Heniocus with these pellets because they're the only fish that can eat them.
Yeah.
And so they sit around and just think, they'll fall to the bottom. They eat up all of those. I wait about 3 or 4 minutes, and then I throw the frozen food in.
And then at that point, the Hiniocus are so full, they couldn't possibly eat more of the food that Terence wants. He wants the more finicky fish to go.
Oh, no doubt. So, okay. So, any questions yet, Vincent, that I've got to answer?
Not that I see.
Nothing?
Nothing really. No questions.
Nothing? Everybody's bored to death, Vincent?
No, they're all hanging on me every word.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh.
At least make the talent feel good, right, Vincent? All right. So, other cool things. that I think are really cool and important and actually relate well to the Apex gear.
Oh,
but,
these are this is essential right here for the AFS.
yes,
Absolutely.
the feeding ring, right? So a lot of the pellet foods that are used are either buoyant or neutrally buoyant, right? So they have to get wetted first before they'll actually get into the middle of the water column. And if you don't use something like this, they'll just go right into the overflow over the top if you don't turn off all your pumps and everything. This is probably, the best one I've seen out there. It's got a really cool hinge mechanism and it's got the magnet on it. It's from Julian's company, which is Two Little Fishies, and it's called the Mag Feeder. Very cool. Definitely something to use. I use these like crazy.
I think everyone uses these in the office.
This is by far, in my opinion, the best algae holder that's out there. I really like how it loads up. I can fold it over in there. But really what makes it the best is you can get the, if you have a thick tank, you can get the mega size magnet on the outside for this, where a lot of the algae feeders, they don't have that option. So yeah, I absolutely use this in my tank and love it. You can buy extra these little mesh things as well.
Actually, for fish like butterfly fish, they don't eat from the water column.
Oh really?
So frozen food in
so you
there.
put the frozen food inside there. Very good idea. And definitely I use all sorts of nori and whatnot as well. I don't buy the expensive nori. I'll find the nori like that doesn't have any additives from the Asian store or whatever and use that.
Oh, this is cool. Terrence said you should.
Oh, jeez, how could I forget?
So we love it when we see doors, right? That the Fusion dashboard is out and people can see it. This is actually the dashboard right now for the Peninsula tank, which we talked about at the very beginning.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you got his Trident hooked up there. And we'll talk about some Trident stuff a little bit more because they're all over this place actually. Yeah. But yeah, all of his levels here, and it's just great to see. Every
store should be doing this because number one, if they they want to have their customers get Apex to protect their tanks, this shows people right away what they're going to get. The second reason is they understand that this store takes care of their animals because they've got stuff in there so that they can basically take care of them, know they're going to get alerts, etc. And the third reason is they can know exactly how the corals and fish are being kept, so when they get home, they can mimic that. So if you have an Apex and you see that, in this case, for this particular one, it's on his display, but they have them also on their other tanks, you see that they're keeping the fish at 76 degrees, that the pH is, a high pH or a low pH. You can see what the alkalinity is. You know to match that or that you need to, to kind of understand what to expect. Maybe the coral's going to go through a little bit of an adaptation.
Right, and Robert, I think, has these smaller displays throughout the place. Usually they're up and running. Right now they aren't, but he keeps these displays up so people can see those things all the time. Right. Which is really nice when essentially it's proof. Well, not only that things have been stable.
Yeah, absolutely. But for you guys at home, even in your own fish rooms, if you happen to have a fish room, there's nothing cooler than buying. You can take an old computer, like an old notebook,
even an old iPad,
or an old iPad. But take an old computer, like an old notebook, like your kid's old or your old notebook, and it's no longer useful for anything except browsing the internet. Hide that notebook away. Get a $50 monitor. Put it up in your fish room. Anybody that comes in your fish room will think it's the coolest thing ever.
Yep. And when you're talking about it to people who don't understand it, they'll suddenly think you are the person. Parameters, like
he's got like science in his house.
You need to talk to Bob. Bob knows how to set up an aquarium.
You want to keep fish? Talk to Bob.
Yeah, you need to talk to Bob. You can be that guy.
All right. So now, we got a couple more things to talk about here, and then we're going to talk about livestock.
Ooh, yeah.
And we're doing well on time too.
Good.
Okay. So frozen food. Paul, what do you use?
There's one food in here. There's one food in here which that I love, and I think a lot of people love. LRS Reef Frenzy. It is one of the premium fish blends, and it's made right here in the United States, North Carolina, handmade and all that. Yeah,
he buys the freshest ingredients. You can look it up on the internet. You can argue whether or not it matters. I think it matters.
Dude, the feeding response. The feeding response that you get.
Like they shuck oysters to make this stuff. Okay, and it's super clean. It doesn't have any kind of weird additives or anything in it. It doesn't have like garlic and all this other stuff. And the fish do just go nuts for it.
If your local fish store isn't stocking this, because you can only get this at local fish stores. You're not able to buy this online or anything like that. If your local fish store is not stocking this, you need to get them to stock this. Love it. But there's a lot of other great frozen foods.
Oh, this is one. I haven't started using this, but I used to use this when it came in the bar.
Great stuff.
Remember when it came in the bar?
Dude, the red bar.
So back in the day, I don't know, 10 years ago, yeah, about 10 years ago was the last time I probably used it. You used to get this red bar, and it was Calanus, okay? This is PE Calanus. And I don't know, this is some little animal or some little plankton animal or something, and the fish go nuts for this, and it's really good for the fish.
Yep,
So,
this is made by PE Mysis, or Piscine Energetics, you know, who first made the Mysis shrimp, right? Which is also in here. I used to buy that by the flat when I had a big aquarium. But they make a lot of good foods. These are also the guys that do the Palma Lab stuff, right? So they do a lot of. Sorry, get it in there.
Anyway, frozen food definitely is a secret to, I think, real success with healthy fish. And we're talking about ick before. Keeping your fish well fed, keeping them healthy with a good variety in their diet. I really believe feeding pellet and feeding frozen food is super important.
In the end of the day, like, are you going to prevent people from getting a common cold?
Yeah.
No. I mean, like, you're going to get a cold, right? And that's essentially what the ick is, right? And so,
everybody tries to keep ick out of your tank. More power to you.
You know,
okay.
You can do that with a lot of the nuisance things like Aptasia, algae, bubble algae, right? You can be really fastidious about making sure the things you put in your tank don't carry that stuff into the tank, right? But I mean, to keep ick out of your tank, it is such a commitment. Number one, and I don't think it's really
appreciate those who take the endeavor. I certainly don't try to introduce things into my tank.
I love these things.
These are the best.
Yes.
So yeah, if you're trying to sell frags, right, it's maybe not the best idea to use because they're a little bit expensive. But if you get corals and you want to put them in your tank, one of the things that most people will recommend is whatever base they come on, get rid of it. Cut the coral off because the eggs and all the other garbage stuff that might live on there, okay, is going to be on the base, right? Bryopsis, algae, all of these things, Aptasias, everything. And then what you can do is if you get, if you don't want to glue it directly into your tank because maybe you don't know it's in the right spot, the light, or how it's going to do, you don't want to use a round disc because they just look stupid in the tank.
Well, comes off the rock like almost like a tumor.
Yeah.
Number one. And so
even when they encrust though, you just see them forever.
Exactly.
You always see this disc, and it's just unnatural in the tank. So if you get these particular frag plugs, these are the real reef, right? Real reef frag plugs. You can then take your little frags, put them in here. They're going to encrust onto this, right? You can still move the frag around as you need to.
And it looks very natural.
And they look natural. They're going to look natural.
You ever seen this stuff?
Yeah, the accelerator?
This is a great, if you do a lot of fragging, you probably already know about this, but if you're just getting into it, the accelerator can be really nice. It's not good for all coral.
Right.
So some coral, it gets so hot, but essentially when you have the super glue, right, and you spray this on there, it's going to help speed up that reaction. Or you can
pre-spray and kind of prime it with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we talked a lot about gear. We've got, we've got probably 15 minutes. We might go a little over today. I don't care.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions or anything like that,
for sure.
Apex related, whatever related,
or fish and coral related,
we're here to I'll try to answer them.
What was the name of that mesh feeder?
What's that?
What was the name of that mesh feeder?
That's from Two Little Fishies. So it's a
pouch feeder.
It's a Two Little Fishies pouch feeder, and the standard ones comes with 1 or 2 pouches, I don't know, and a standard size magnet. But there is an option that you can find some places. I didn't see them over there.
It's not all that common that you would need.
You need to that one will work up to, I believe, the 12 millimeter tank, which is almost a ½ inch, what you call ½ inch. But anything over that, you're going to want the bigger magnet. Or you might be able to stack the smaller ones.
Yeah. I saw one about tridents on the frag tanks.
Oh, okay. So yes. So
they're on the other side. We'll talk about that in a second.
Okay, you want to?
Yeah, in the tridents we can talk about.
Okay, can we go around the other side?
Around the other side.
Perfect.
I need to plug this in.
What's that?
I need to plug this in.
You need to what?
I need to plug this in.
All right, he needs to plug this in. So I'm gonna.
Let's get started on this.
I'm gonna roll
on the. Let's get started on this tank. Let's start at premium the crop here. I'm gonna do what James is just doing, so you can get the crop down. James here from Neptune Aquatics. He's a source of information.
He's the man here.
Yep. And so this is the ask me the price.
Yeah.
Tank.
How bad do you want it?
There is only one tank in the store like this, and this is the only one. Okay. But there are just some gems in here.
So James, let me ask you a question about
Sure.
this.
Yes.
So I see feather dusters in here, and
Yes.
I love feather dusters, but I've often been told that you can't keep them in most aquariums
Long term.
long term, right? What's the story?
So that is true on feather duster. This is a cocoa worm, actually. So
Okay.
it is a totally different worm from the feather duster.
Okay.
It just all it really does is it needs food. It likes more of a dirtier nutrient system tank. It likes to be fed. I feed the system 2 to 3 times a day.
Okay.
And making sure your
So
levels
like
are
particulate foods.
Exactly.
Okay.
Small particulates, roids, reef chili. Now, with those, you just need to have a consistent calcium level. That way, it grows its hard shell.
So how long has this one right here been in the tank?
Probably close to 8 months at least.
Really?
8 months, yeah. And I had another one somewhere.
There's one in the back over there.
So I had 2, and I started with 5 in here. The other 3 have sold, but
Okay.
these 2 are doing good, and they've fully encrusted with coralline. I'm hoping it would send out another mouth, which would be a really cool thing. I haven't seen that yet, but
Okay.
it's old enough too. So they're not. It's kind of a myth with how.
Do you guys ever keep the Christmas worms here too? On the
I have had some Christmas worm colonies. They do go fast, so I don't hold on to them too long.
right. They're so impressive, and they're hard to take care of.
They
too,
are
aren't
exactly. It's another feeder. It's 2 animals in one. I mean, there's 3 animals in one really, because you have
Right.
a coral and then you have this worm as well that needs to be fed. And
I can tell you that personally, seeing them in the wild
oh yeah.
is one of the most phenomenal things I've ever seen in my life. I
Yeah.
mean, we're talking about like on a coral rock that was just the size of a bus.
Yeah,
And you snorkel past
Right,
it,
and
swim, and they
they
just
just close
all
up.
come down. You know,
Yeah, it's really it's
It
those
is
one of those
spectacular.
awesome things to watch in real life.
Jawbreaker.
some cool
Oh yeah,
mushrooms.
the jawbreakers back here.
So this is an interesting thing, right? I mean,
Over here.
one of the interesting things for me, in the last 5 years or so, is how mushrooms have gone from being kind of like the ghetto coral to like, the really cool coral.
Yeah,
Is it true? I mean,
it definitely happened really quick in my opinion.
it was like if you had mushrooms before, you hadn't graduated, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you can get some of these. I mean, and I remember back in the day, I was getting some pretty cool looking mushrooms.
Right.
You know, the St. Thomas mushrooms
all
and
kinds.
some of those.
well,
were
you can get
Dactyls.
Recordia for like nothing, for like pennies, right?
Yeah,
back then.
not
But this
anymore.
is something I'll have in my tank. I do have a couple of different
like
mushrooms. I have actually in my tank. One's like the kind of ones he's got over there, the kind of reddish brownish ones. I've got those in my tank, and I've got some really bright, awesome green ones in my tank. But I think I need to get one of these from Robert and put it in my tank.
They'll just disappear in your tank. You'll never see it
It's not
again.
insecure. I got 2 cool little areas.
Either that or your handing goes will eat them.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
I'm gonna.
Why you guys gotta be all down?
You need to get rid of those things,
man.
man. They are the.
Please.
I agree with Bob.
They're
I'm gonna
the
give them to you.
ugliest part of
I'm
your
gonna give them to
aquarium.
you, James. You're gonna have them here in the store.
That's
okay?
fine. They're gonna go in my fish system.
They're gonna go in the top level where the ones that never get touched. Anyways,
So anyway, one of the things also that is really cool about this store, and I wish more stores did it, and one of the reasons I like coming in here is because all of the frag tanks have their prices down at the bottom of each one of the tanks. So it's not this like, hey, how much does that cost? And it's different every person you get or every day. And they just got some really cool stuff in here for great prices. So I don't know. I think I might lead with one or two things. Paul, your tank is a little full, isn't it?
yeah, I'm gonna try to leave the day with maybe an LTS. I can put on the bottom. That doesn't need much.
I want to get one of those off the spawn kind of things. That's what I want to get. A sea hare. Oh wow! Look at that. He likes those sea hares. He
I
gave
know
me
he
one
does.
for algae once, and it
It
disappeared.
disappears, man. In your tank, right?
Well, I don't know what happened. It ate for a while though. I mean, they will munch down the algae for sure.
Variety of coral and the pricing of it.
It just makes you want to come to the store too,
Yeah,
to
I mean,
see all this stuff. And they sometimes might find an Easter egg in one of these tanks, no doubt.
Said you're looking for some like those sun corals. You're gonna.
Sun corals are really cool. I've got some really good dark areas in my tank, behind some of the rock, and I guess that's what they take, is that and food.
But anyways, he goes down all the way from 10, right? And the 10 even's got some nice stuff.
So yeah, even in the 10, I mean, yeah, of course there's green star polyps, okay, who cares, right? But I mean, even
You
so,
saw that green star polyp tank over there.
yeah,
They
but that's a
can-
long ways from that frag of green star polyp. But I mean, there's acans in here and other stuff for $10. That's pretty cool. I mean, the thing is that one of the things that bugs me all the time is people talk about how much more expensive the hobby is now, and I'm like, I don't know about that, because if I can come in and get
I didn't see this stuff, 15 years ago.
It's just if I come in and get 10 frags to go in my nano tank for $100, I think that's pretty good.
Done. I bet you they cut you a deal on 10.
You probably
right,
would.
James?
Oh yeah, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I'll take care of you guys.
But there's like that orange what was it?
Lepistrea.
Lepistrea, yeah, in the back.
Jack-o'-lantern,
I mean, there's just some cool stuff.
That at one time was much more than $10.
Yeah, exactly.
You know. And let's cut through here.
Cut through? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, maybe not.
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, we're here already, so. All right.
These,
it's okay, guys. You don't worry. You're not wanted for anything, right? We don't have to.
No,
You're
not at
wanted?
all.
Okay. Just in case you go on the camera, I don't want you to.
I do charge for my pictures.
Oh, really? Okay, I gotta get a release.
So these are, he does have a $500 tank, right? And those are where you have the scullies, those awesome acanthreuas.
What is that? Is that a Nephthia? A green Nephthia?
Yeah, Neptune.
Mm-hmm.
The storied green Nephthia?
Yep.
And Pectinia.
Mm-hmm.
Just some really cool corals. I don't know.
We'll show you that Space Invaders coral.
There's definitely some stuff in there I would have in my tank if it wasn't for those beasts. Yes,
Heniocus
those
again. The
Heniocus.
Heniocus, see, they prevent. This is the.
Oh, look at this!
This is the ridiculous anemone
I
tank.
love it. I love these guys. Harlequin shrimp. So, for those of you who don't know, the Harlequin shrimp eat your Asterina starfish, and after that, they'll starve unless you give them something to eat.
Perfect.
That's a Space Meter.
There we go.
Oh, what's that? Oh, Space Invader Pectinia? Without the streamers coming out of it?
It's getting ready to. Trident. Okay, so on all of these tanks, I think all of them, maybe there's 6 of them, I think 4 of them have tridents on them, right? Here's just one of them. And I mean, Robert's been rocking these for how many months now?
He runs 2-part on this, along with, I think, a calcium reactor on some of
Yes,
these.
he's got a calcium
Not on
reactor.
this one.
But not on this
one.
one.
SPS system.
But one of the really key things to my opinion, and Robert follows it here, it's kind of what I do in my tank, because this is about the size of my sump on my tank, is having a lot of place for bacteria to live, and that whole natural kind of way of keeping an aquarium with a lot of rock, a lot of water, and a lot of surface area for bacteria to grow on, and it keeps the stability in your tank like none other.
Yeah. But he's got the tridents throughout, and then we'll find a dose. He keeps everything kind of hidden unless it's on display, right? And so on here we'll find a dose for sure. Yep, so we got a doser over there. And that's all to do the trident controlled dosing he uses that for.
Absolutely.
Because he's constantly pulling coral in and out, and so the alkalinity level is changing, fluctuating, things like that. So,
Very cool.
There's a dose right here.
oh, all right, yeah, here's a dose.
So let's look at some fish.
Fish?
And yeah, let's
We
look,
call
look
it
at some
color.
fish and wrap things up. Answer some questions if there's still some questions. I gotta get some cleanup crew too. I'm completely I have marginalis in my tank, which sadly has left me about 6 months ago. But the bittersweet part of it is he used to eat all of my snails in the tank. So now I've got to replenish the.
What do you mostly go for when you go for cleanup crew?
So I like 2 kinds of snails. I like the Trochus snails and I like the Astrea snails. Both of those kinds. I'm not a huge turbo snail kind of guy, although I've got a couple in my tank right now that have been there a long time. And if your tank is just right, they will live for a long, long time.
Absolutely.
But they
don't like it super tropical, right? So they do like a little bit cooler water. For me, it's the Trochus snails, the cirrus snails. I do like those. I do like the neurites for glass, also, but they need to be a little cooler. But you got to have the fighting conchas for the.
That's
sand
such a
bed.
great thing. That's really great for the sand. You have a lot more of those than you think you need too, because they really do.
They do a
turn
great
the
job
sand and clean the sand.
And then, if I needed it, I'd throw an emerald or two in, a couple emeralds in there.
There's actually an emerald in here cleaning a turbo snail.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely the emeralds are good. Look at the pipefish in there too. Those things are so cool.
Then we've got a bunch of little gobies, right? Nothing too exciting
for me there.
I like the auroras. The auroras are always pretty cool. Really great tail on those. Good colors.
This is one of the fish that, I already have one, but I recommend to a lot of people, which is the Midas blenny. It's got just so much it's an African Midas blenny, right? It has the best color. And it, you can get these big streamers on its tail, and it has this beautiful orange color. It really doesn't come out in this tank lighting right now. But they have a lot of character. They stay out in the water column.
Yeah, that's a nice wrasse. What wrasse is that?
That's a blue throat.
It's a blue throat?
Yeah.
No, I used to have one of those.
Those are nice.
I used to have a blue throat. Oh, look at the bang guys. My bang guys aren't mating yet. What do I need to do? Very white?
No. You know me with fish, man. Like, if I have to give any extra effort to a fish, my interest
I've got
is,
a long spine urchin in there now, and well, that made it worse, dude. That did not help.
You're ruining it. What wrasse do we have there? Like
So that is a Flasher Africanus.
Ooh, I like that one.
Vincent knows his wrasse.
He knows his wrasses. I'll give him that.
He's a wrasse man.
So,
Paul got it.
That was close.
Terence and I love side belts.
It's like,
We'll regularly throw them in, you know.
I think it's too many characters though for a license plate, but I think that's probably come up with it.
Yeah.
What else do we see here that we like, Paul?
There's another of those blue throats that look really nice down here.
Blue throat down here. And and I love this little.
Oh,
I
might have
love
been
little tangs.
Might have been sold.
I love the.
Nice in there.
I love the little tangs. Whenever you can get these tangs when they're tiny like this,
Yeah.
they're so cool. Unfortunately, oh look, that's an African or Atlantic blue.
Yep.
Atlantic blue tank. I might need to buy that one.
Also has blue
love
reef.
those.
He's got the blue reef.
You don't love
chromis in
those?
here.
I love those, but you have that powder blue.
He's
But
got,
he's little.
Yeah, that's worse.
No, he'll find his way.
He'll hide. See, look at him justified.
There we go.
Got some nice Evansai Antheus down there.
Vincent's the voice of reason here, and I'm the person pushing to have a fish I probably shouldn't have.
Who was some of those blue reef chromis? Those are always cool, man.
Yeah, that kind of iridescence.
The blue reef chromis are nice.
pretty.
Yeah, very nice looking fish.
They're way better than the green chromis.
They are very territorial.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we got to see? Oh, there's some cool stuff in here.
These are some cool colonies.
This
here.
is,
This is the not for sale tank. These are the grow outs.
What's that? Acanthostrea.
Acanthophyllia.
The meat coral, as they're called, right?
Donut, meat coral,
Donut, meat
something
Yeah,
like that.
and there's another Pectinia in the back that's just sick.
Yeah. I think he cuts off that one pretty frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then these utter chaos over here are like the biggest pallies I've seen in a long time. So really a cool store. I know everybody thinks that Orlando has a corner on reef stores, but
there are some great stores.
oh, there's no doubt.
Orlando. I mean,
but people think that they have the corner on it, but I'm telling you right here in San Jose, this is the place to go. If you're in the Bay Area, guys.
If you're ever coming to San Francisco, it's about a 45-minute to a 50-minute
From the
drive
city.
south from the city of San Francisco. You could take a train, could you? Yeah, you could take a train if you wanted, but when we can all travel again, you know, and but right now you get to live vicariously through Terence and I.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, with the whole COVID thing, you know, it's been hard to get out. It's been hard to see other people. It's been hard to enjoy a fish store. Obviously, you guys see that we're doing what we're supposed to do with the, you know, social distancing as much as we can, and the masks and all of that. And they're doing all of that stuff here. And yeah, I mean, it's good to close out the year with Let's Talk Reef here at a local fish store. Really appreciate all of you guys, all of our customers, you know, sticking with us through the years, and you know, being part of the Control Freak crew.
It's going to be a great 2021.
We have any closing questions before I just completely sign off?
Did Battle OCR get a hat yet?
Yes, he did
He got
get
a hat. We made sure of it.
He absolutely
And he
got a
helped
hat.
the kids.
Yes, he did.
And he helped the kids.
Yes, he
that
did.
was, again, guys, that Toys for Kids drive,
Very
I am
cool.
just, you know, we are just over the moon in terms of the community involvement.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
A couple of comments about pizza boxes.
Pizza boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the sky, man. So the sky is it's pretty awesome. I've got to tell you that. Can we what?
Can you say?
Let's say what?
It's starting the thing.
It's starting the thing.
Yeah, the thing.
I don't know what. Oh yes. Already.
Yes.
And
There are hobbyists out there that
Yes.
have them at this point.
that outside our walls,
Yes.
there are hobbyists with them already. It is kind of a pre-NSI NSI.
Yes, it's not. We haven't done the big selection yet.
But
you know.
but the NSI is really just around the corner after the new year, and there will be some people who'll be able to talk about a thing or two about them. They're not going to be completely embargoed on being able to say something. in terms of certain things, and maybe show some pictures off, show their tanks a little bit with the pictures. So look for that in the coming new year. We've got some
Really excited for this.
really exciting things that are happening for 2021 in a bunch of different areas. You know, let's hope that we can get through this whole COVID thing and keep on reefing the way we want to, and visit everybody else. And
You know, and for all our new control freaks this year, you know, we're glad that you joined us. You know, and we're excited for next year, and we're excited for more people setting up aquariums and getting involved with Apex and keeping their tanks safe.
yeah, absolutely. So till maybe 2 weeks from now, guys, for another episode of Let's Talk Reef. That's it for 2020.
All right.
Enjoy those fish. Take